Okay, I think we're live. Yeah, we are. Salam alaikum. Good morning.
Alaikum assalam.
How are you,
Good
sir?
morning. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you doing? How is
Doing, doing phenomenal. How are
how
you
is
doing on this happy Easter, as they call it? No, no, happy
yeah,
Friday.
happy Friday, yeah.
Is it happy
W-
Friday? I think so.
No, in Bosnia they call it Great Friday.
The
Like
Great Friday.
yeah, Veliki Petak. That's how they call it in Bosnia. So I guess yeah. Yeah, doing good. I'm doing good. Um it is a great Friday and for some of our drivers that are on the road, they may experience a holiday um, um, feeling today and maybe slightly Monday, but today 100%.
Yeah, I mean, holidays in our industry are always tricky. The number of loads goes down because there's companies closed, but then also the loads that are available go for cheaper rates because everyone is more desperate. Some
Hmm.
people have the assumption that because it's a holiday, there's fewer people willing to drive, so therefore the prices actually go up because there's less competition. But that's not how it works because the loads that are
Uh,
available, generally people are desperate to book because they're trying to get home and they're trying to not get stuck.
Also, if we're just talking about a count of drivers that are on the road, Thanksgiving and New Year is a different thing than to Great Friday or today, Easter Friday. It's because Thanksgiving and New Year, everyone goes home and you have less drivers available, but I don't think that you have less drivers available right now.
No, no, not at all. Okay, cool. Um, so let's dive into recapping what happened yesterday and how it played out, and then we'll go from there. So I'll
Let's
let
go.
you go through this.
So yesterday, our system imported 1,375 loads. This means that that's number of loads that our drivers were available for, that we had a driver for, and out of those, we placed a bid on 412 loads. So that means we placed a bid up around one third of all loads, or less than one third of all loads available. And we booked 30 loads with 7.28% bid win ratio, which is a drop, and that's telling because Thursday and drivers are getting desperate for the because they know the Friday will be slow, so it was way more competitive to get a load. And then out of those 30 loads, we had 28 drivers booked um, on a load, and I don't think if that's gonna be there, but we had 10 drivers that were not booked, and we booked the average load pay on those loads was 700. Again, mid-size loads are very popular this week. Ever the average is like a mid-size load. Although we had probably the truth is in the more longer loads, more shorter loads, and then you get 700 or whatever. You think the average load is a mid-size load, but in reality, it can just be mix of short and long.
Yeah. So we're gonna to by next week's presentation, I think we're gonna have a breakdown of how many loads were auto declined, meaning that they were loads with our driver's red settings. With our drivers, do not dispatch me there, and those loads were just automatically declined. And we're gonna have data for how many were self-declined, meaning our drivers declined them. They were yellow settings. And then we're gonna see how many were dispatch declined. So this is loads that maybe were under the auto accept option. However, maybe the dispatcher didn't bid on it because it picked up 2, 3 days in the future. Maybe, there's some other reasons why we didn't bid on it. Maybe, it just didn't make sense
Yeah, you'll
time-wise or
see.
money-wise.
Yeah, you'll see. And just for the reference, I think when we check the data, and we will for the next Monday or next week, it's gonna be around probably 600 those that we don't attend to at all, meaning that we
Yeah,
don't
because
react to
there's
them.
also expired. Those are yellow
Yeah,
loads that drivers don't respond to at all. So we already have the declined, and yeah, yesterday we had 415 total declined. So this is between all of those different ways. I'm going back through the month, and the biggest number, I'll share this even though it's not really beautiful presentation or anything, but um, you can see the decline here, and this is yesterday, the 28th, right? So 415, and as we scroll down, you see that we don't even hit 400 any other day in the last 30 days. So the reason is probably because of a lot of loads that pick up in the future with Easter and everything. There's a lot of customers posting loads for Monday pickup, and either we are declining them or drivers are declining them. But all of these things, man, they play a role at the end of the day in how the day plan, plays out. On average,
Indeed.
we win 10%. Yesterday, we won 7.28%. So that means that, like I said, everyone gets more desperate to get booked. The rates go down. It is what it is. We have to work within the situation of the industry. Anything else here before we move on?
Oh, nothing specific,
Cool,
really.
cool. Code red drivers, obviously, again, are our drivers who were not booked and have been available for more than 4 hours of pit. Again, pit is prime idle time. It's the time during the busy prime hours of the day between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. So we look at anyone who's been available for more than 4 hours, so 5 hours or more, right? So from 1 p.m. yesterday and on, we consider those drivers having been in service long enough for us to book them. And if you want to go ahead and provide a quick update, since you're in the ops and you know better about what's specifically going on with these guys.
Sure, to some of them I know exactly. 485, he's home in Florida. 357, he's um, 485 home in Florida, I think South Dispatch. 357, home in Missouri, South Dispatch, not bidding that much. 485 did move home from, I think, up there in Alabama to down to Florida, went home. So we probably the guys are checking right now if he's available. Um, 033, one of our veteran drivers, sadly not booked. I think this is Kansas City, a number one priority to get booked as soon as possible. Kansas City was very difficult yesterday. I remember specifically on him. I think we even booked him and then he got canceled. 161. He's home in St. Louis, only accepting Monday deliveries since
Hmm.
yesterday. He has that note since yesterday, so he was yesterday only accepting Monday deliveries because of the holiday. 268, home in Louisville, Kentucky. 008, he's in Tennessee, close by home and moving home. So probably guys are checking right now if he's available as well. It's the first hour. Um, moving home, so probably accepting only lows going home. 548, yeah, one of our very very good drivers. Oscar. I don't know if he's watching. I'm really sorry you're not booked. He's also in Kansas City, Independence, Missouri. I think that's Kansas City. And once again, top priority. 607, one of the new, very, very experienced drivers. They have a mileage around Michigan or something like that for this week. He and his colleagues that are, so hopefully he's going to get booked as well. 567, Jerome. Jerome is a story for himself. Only he knows and hopefully he's gonna get booked. He gets booked on one or two of those Chicago lows.
Yeah.
He's lately doing only actually for a while doing only local runs around Chicago. And 322 delivered in Montreal yesterday afternoon. So we have a whole day ahead of us to book him. I think he's the only guy up there. So I mean,
Yeah.
not much of a difference really, but he's gonna get booked. I think from Montreal, inshallah.
Yeah, I can confidently say that I don't think any company out there, has this approach that we have where we're evaluating these, code red drivers and a daily we kind of have a priority list based on waiting time, based on situations and stuff like that. I mean, I always say we can't manufacture a load, we can't create a load for you, but what we can do is make sure we're doing our absolute best to maximize the chance of you getting booked. And we're going to do that each and every day, and we're going to put a focus on drivers that are waiting a long time. Now, one thing, man, I do notice here is none of these guys have pit discounting activated. And that's within their right, but I still think with it being a new feature, there's a lot of people that don't properly know how to use it, when to use it, and why to use it. At the end of the day, we're going to actually talk about the pricing in a few minutes here. Um, our prices are built based on our historic data, based on the current market trends, and our prices really try to push the line, right? We want to bid as much as humanly we can to still have a decent chance to win a load. Now, if we're bidding, you know, uh, 90 cents a mile and we're not booking you, well, to prevent your pit getting up to 19 hours, which is 2 full days of waiting, if you activate that pit discounting at the 4 hour mark, right, we begin to gradually, slowly drop the rates that we're bidding by a few cents every few hours until we book you. So to prevent finding yourself in a situation where you're waiting for 20 hours of pit time, again, meaning that's 2 full days, activate that pit discounting, get yourself booked quicker because you're only looking at maybe making 10, 20, 30, $50 less on a shipment, and it's going to help you avoid these prolonged waiting times.
Indeed. I encourage everyone, and you know that Omer is usually calling you guys in the morning and discussing this with you. So if you have any questions in particular and need more detailed explanation as well, you can ask him. He understands what it means for you and what it means for the company.
Yes, sir. Okay, moving on. We did not, we're not supposed to show the names here of who did what, but it shall be fixed for next time. So third most loads was Ahmed, our hybrid man. He had 74 bids, followed up 42% of time, booked 6 loads with $802 average load pay. Mohammed had 124 bids, followed up 39% of time, booked 9 loads, and $611 average load pay. So he had more luck with the shorter loads. And then Had is right in the middle revenue-wise, but he had 188 bids, 50% follow-up, 13 booked loads, and $723 average load pay for the
Mm,
drivers. Um, the follow-up rates seem to be down a bit. You were mentioning that. So we'll
yeah,
have
I
to dig
already.
into that if there's a system issue or if it's a system or a user issue, right?
Yes, it's
We'll
way lower than they lowest that I know. So this
yeah.
is lower. So it's kind of tricky. I did send a message just before the meeting for them to look into this. But it's not their best day when it comes to the loads booked. But as we said, a lot of the different things affect these numbers.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, collectively as a team, as a company, we had 7% win ratio, and we said most of it is because of the competition, because of the holiday. Everyone is desperate to get booked. But yeah, good job, dispatch team. Let's keep chugging along. Driver spotlight, Mr. Wayne, 359. Gonna tell us the story, Munir.
Yeah, Mr. Wayne, 359, driver of the year 2023. Yesterday he had a situation where because of the current load, his next load was in jeopardy, meaning he will be late for the pickup. I think about an hour, and he was late for the pickup about an hour because of the delay on the first load. And customer called in very angry. Said if he doesn't deliver by 3 p.m. yesterday. Uh, they will close and will not open, I think, until Monday or Tuesday because of the Easter. So I called Wayne. I explained everything to him, and I said, do your best, but safety first, of course, but do your best to get there by 3. And it was very, very super tight. He said, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna drive direct. I do have to put an oil in, but the gas in, but I'm gonna drive direct without stop. And he did. He didn't stop for a second. He got there, so they were closing 3 p.m. He got there 2:52, so 8 minutes before they closed. He offloaded, and thankfully he was actually booked immediately on a load going to Ontario. It was New Jersey to Ontario. So, Wayne, thank you so much for the hard work. You did your best to deliver that on time, even though um, you had a setback with the pickup time and everything, but you did your best to deliver it on time. Good job, and we really want to make sure that the drivers like you and other professionals out there are recognized in this segment.
Was he the driver of the year, though? I
I
thought it
think so,
was
yeah.
Mohammed Adan, I believe.
Oh, sorry, Wayne, man. Yeah, but
Driver of
you
the
had
year
a
2024.
meeting. You had a meeting with him, podcast with Wayne. So kind of my brain went into that direction. But yeah, I think it was Mohammed 085,
Yes,
different
sir.
driver. But Wayne,
Okay.
in my heart, you're very close.
In Munir's heart, every driver is the driver of the year. Every year. All right, man. Cool. Good job, Wayne. We appreciate the hard work as always. Best load, third best load. Take over, Munir.
Third best load was booked from Ontario to Minneapolis. It was a little bit, tiny bit under dollar a mile. It's about, we can say dollar a mile load. Usually, I think our rate is around dollar a mile from Ontario, and considering the drivers are usually booked to Ontario, $1.10 to $1.20, or sometimes even more. This is this is a fine rate out of there, and it's a longer load as well. So yeah, it's a very good load. I cannot recall 100% who's the driver. I think one of our older veteran drivers as well, Edin. I think it was
Nice.
him, but either way, whoever it is, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, man. This is one of my favorite loads. If I was when I was a driver, a big $1,000 load or close to it, you're ending up in a pretty good area. Minnesota is not bad at all for loads.
And finishing within 24 hours. There's going to be
Yeah,
24 hours transit time with rest.
as good as it gets nowadays. I mean,
Yeah,
could the price have been a little bit better? Of course, but we're
sure.
talking about if it was $100 more or 150 more, it would have been a perfect load. Like when the situation is what it is right now, you don't talk about $100 difference on the price. You look at the bigger number.
Indeed.
Onward.
Onward. Load booked was El Paso, Texas to Detroit, Michigan. This is, if you're talking about perfect loads, but not perfectly paid, this is the perfect load. And there's no perfection such as this from Texas, better perfection than this from Texas, because you're getting from not Dallas where it's busy or Laredo, you're getting from El Paso where it's not that busy to Detroit, and it's 1,700 miles, $1,200. I think it's even more than 70 cents a mile. Amazing load, really, when it comes to just where it's going and where from it's going.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's not just about money here. It's about he's gonna get booked, man. Probably by the time he hits Oklahoma or something like that. So
Yeah.
that's why it's so good of a load.
Yeah.
I hope he is. I don't want to eat my words. He might not be, but I hope he was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, anytime you can get out of one of the worst areas and get to the best area or one of the best areas, it's a win. Obviously, price-wise, we're not oblivious to the fact that $1,200 for 1,700 miles is a bad rate. But, as I just said a second ago, man, right now in this market, you keep moving. At the end of the week, it's going to balance out. That's why those shorter loads come in and really can kind of save the day. The drivers that are very, care a lot about the rates per mile. those shorter loads can really come in and make it all right. Because
Mm,
sometimes you can get on a 100-mile load, you can get $200 or something like that. So,
right.
okay, the last but not least.
Yeah. This is the load for a driver that was waiting in Washington for 3 days. We were mentioning him in the other meetings that we had. So it was Portland, Oregon, going to Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the rate he placed a bid on. I think this is like 63 cents a mile or something like that. So he placed a bid on it. Portland, Oregon, going to Charlotte, coast to coast, pretty much. And yeah, he was waiting. He was actually bidding this rate almost consistently, below 70 cents a mile. And we needed 3 days to book. So that's the downside, but he's gonna get here. He actually likes these loads. He's not complaining ever when it comes to when he books himself to West. He booked himself to West, and he booked himself out of there, and he's not complaining. And he likes these loads. Whenever I know for a fact when he sees British Columbia, Washington, Idaho, or something, he's gonna place a bid. So I guess for him this works, but for us, I'm really sad that he was waiting for 3 days, even though he was bidding very, very good. And in the end, BHX profit was like $50 on this
Really?
because we cut down everything just to get him out of there.
Yeah,
So usual that's like probably like 4% BHX
yeah,
profit just to get him booked after 3 4 days, and because he was bidding very, very good. That's why we did it.
yeah.
Not like he was bidding high and we were
Yeah,
not
the
able to
West
get
is
him.
tricky, man. Some of our drivers love those big loads, and going there, you can make some decent money, and it's always nice making $2,000, $3,000 on one load. But coming out is always so painful. I mean, this is 3 days of bidding. We finally get something for 63 cents a mile gross paid to the driver. It's
Man,
painful to see, but it is what it is.
I
Yeah.
gotta stop. I gotta stop everything, man. I gotta stop everything, and I'm gonna have to read this to our drivers. One of our drivers says, "I'm a terrible public speaker, therefore you're getting a scripted version." And then he said sent written by hand letter to our messages and says, there are a few reasons I enjoy working for BH Express.
Hold on, man.
One,
We gotta go full screen on this so your the tears that are welling up in your eyes can be seen by the viewers.
all right, go ahead.
All right, go ahead. Onward.
Can you see this? Are you looking at this or
I'm
no?
not. I want to get a
All
raw
right.
right from the GM.
Uh, all right, all right. Let's go. So there are a few reasons I enjoy working for BH Express. When I started, I met drivers who were here for 5+ years in BH Express. I just left a company who could only hold me for a month. They, BH Express, allow me to blame them for everything that goes wrong out here and get away with it. The weather is bad. It's the dispatcher fault. If I face, if I face, if I face concussion out here, it's the dispatcher fault or confusion. I'm not reading his letters. If I don't make enough money, it's the dispatcher fault. If I do make enough money is still blame I still blame the dispatcher for it. But most important reason for being with BH Express is the BH Express allow me to reach my financial obligation without stress, headache, or on monthly basis. Wayne B. Court, the guy we just mentioned. I guess um, he was a little bit making jokes up there because he's not really pressuring us or saying that everything is a dispatcher's um, fault. But we're really happy, Wayne, that you're able to meet your financial obligations every month. Of course, at the end of the day, we can be as fine and as good conversationalist when you call us or whatnot. But if you're not paying your bills at the end
Right.
of the day, that's gonna be problematic. Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, man, it's always good to hear positive words from our drivers. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when the bank sends you a bill to pay, they don't ask it was your dispatch nice. Were they polite? That's just a bonus. That's icing on the cake. And we understand that the primary role we have is to help you guys make as much money as you need to make. And sometimes, I think we assume that everybody is out there trying to maximize and make just a certain amount every week. Now, there are some people who are content with making less money in order to be home, in order to be closer to their home and stuff like that. So we'll continue to, take that into account and to work around that, I guess.
Right.
All right, onward.
Onward.
Dispatch settings review, understanding rates. So I
This is
think
the
this
big
is
one.
the biggest opportunity for our drivers to really kind of have a better understanding of how to set up their dispatch settings in a way that's going to keep them working and keep them happy and not stressing out over prices and stuff like that. So A1, A2, and A3, this is the green areas. A1 is the best. It's amazing for loads. A2 is great. A3 is good. Okay. So these are areas that we can constantly get over 80 cents a mile. Okay. Um, A1, I think right now prices are 85 cents. And then A2 is like 80, A3 is 80. When we're going to Canada, the prices are over $1 from these areas. So here's kind of how I would say it. The drivers who don't want ever to drive for 70 cents a mile or 63 as you guys saw from Oregon, have A8, A7, A6, and probably A5 on your red do not go there list. This is if your goal is to never drive for 70 cents a mile. Now, in this current market, it's almost impossible to make decent money and never drive for 70 cents a mile. So,
Understood.
you got to pick. Do you want to make as much as possible per mile, or do you want to just make as much as possible at the end of the week? Now, I think, and we've had drivers that come in and try to limit this too much. There's one driver in particular in mind. He joined BHX because he saw one of his friends made, good money with us. Well, his friend was one of these guys that had the whole map open, didn't turn down any opportunities, didn't mind driving for 70 cents a mile. This guy, newer to the industry, came in, and when he would see some rates, he said, no, I don't want to do this. So he would block off the whole West pretty much. He didn't go to Texas. He didn't go to the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida and that. He tried to stay in these areas where the rates were higher. Now, at the end of the week, when you look at the total miles and the total earnings, he was making good rate per mile on average. I think he was averaging 90 cents or even $1 on the RPM side. But every week he was making $1,000 or $1,500 because he would just sit for too long, right? Whereas his friend was making slightly less per mile, but at the end of the week he would make twice as much money. Again, man, the bank is not going to call you and say how much per mile did you make. They're going to
Hmm.
say, you got a $2,000 bill to pay. Did you make that money? Right?
Hmm.
So when this guy kind of better understood that and opened up his map more, his earnings went up with it. Um, but it is important for us, for our drivers to understand when you go to A5, A6, A7, and A8, the rates to get out of there are around 70 cents a mile. Sometimes you get lucky, you get 75. Sometimes you don't get lucky and you have, bad luck or whatever, and you got to do 65 cents a mile. Um, and that's just sort of the cost of doing business. But keep this in mind as you're adjusting your rates in the app, or your settings in the app. And, know if you book yourself a load to one of these areas that I just said, to come out, it's going to be 70 cents around that. Or if you put it green and we book you, before you mark it green, understand what that's going to do. Anything else to add on this?
Really, not much to add. Really, you said it perfectly. It's just I was just monitoring two code red drivers just booked. I'm really happy about it. When it
Nice,
comes
man.
to this, yeah, when it comes to this, take Aldi's feedback. He's been a driver as well, not just a business owner, not just someone who's been bidding and dispatching and then
Not
owning
just
a
a
company and
celebrity.
everything else. Yeah, not just celebrity, not just a YouTuber. He was a driver as well, and he understands the ins and outs of this. But I as well, I've been with the BH Express for 4 years, and I've seen all sides of the industry. And really, what is uh, what is a constant is the drivers that are going everywhere end up earning 3,000 plus on average. It's just a fact.
Yes,
And
sir.
the ones that are not, it does not. And if you're okay with that, it's all good. But you just need to understand that, have that realistically explained to you, I guess.
Yes, sir. Okay, quote of the day: develop success from failure. Discouragement and failure are two of the surest stepping stones to success. This was actually put in by our wonderful ops and dispatch member Amina, who made this presentation. But it goes along with the theme that I've had lately, which is this idea of it's just part of the journey. I've been saying that a lot. I've been finding myself, a lot going through these situations lately that the only thing I can say is like this is just part of the journey. Um, and it is, man. We all want to get to the end line. We want to get to the finish line without the pain that it takes to get there. We want to run the marathon, but we want to just teleport from the starting line to the finish line.
Right. That's
Or
right.
we want to run the marathon, but we want the perfect shoes, and then we don't want any pebbles or rocks along the way, and we don't want any wind, or we don't want any adversity. We want it to go exactly as we planned. And there's a picture that I seen, one of those memes, where it shows a person and it's like your plan, and it just shows a line from start to finish, and it said like God's plan, and then it showed like kind of a curvature and like going down ditches and up mountains and stuff like that, and then the finish. And that's what it is. And I mean, how many times in life do you go through something, you get to the end, and it's a different result than you um, you were going for, but then you realize that the different outcome is far better than what you had in mind. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's part of the journey. Um, Countless times, in my life, going through whatever adversity, whatever work difficulties, whatever was going on, in the moment, you feel like the world is crashing. You feel like, this is never going to pass. And then what I always found interesting is how we look back at those times with such like fondness when we overcome it, when it's in the past. And we've
Yeah,
been through this, man. Work-wise, we've been through these times where something happens and it just spins the whole world, and you're under such immense stress. Um, and then a year later, when it's in the rear view mirror, we look at it and we're like, man, that was an interesting time, huh? Um,
indeed, indeed, man. And not just that, something that you mentioned this morning, and let's not take anything for granted, as they say in life. I think you sent over a message very early, Bosnia time to me, but I was awake. For let me just find that. Yeah, life is fragile. We assume we are guaranteed something: long life, happiness, health, etc. But we're not. We see people around us not receive these guarantees, but we don't learn. That's how it is with life. I think one of our drivers' father passed away last night as well, and I don't know if you were influenced by that or just a general thought, but we don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, tomorrow, and let's not take anything for granted, especially family and friendship and those universal qualities, I guess, because there's nothing guaranteed, really. There's nothing
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah, I was influenced by that because as Vedat said that his father was a 60-something-year-old healthy man. You know, may God have mercy on his soul and grant him paradise and make this time easy for the family. Um, but he said it was a healthy man, and all of a sudden, and we all feel like we're guaranteed something, man. We feel like we're guaranteed health on a personal level, and we feel like we are owed a healthy family, and we're owed prosperity and ability to do X, Y, and Z, and we're owed a long life and all of this stuff, but and we take this stuff for granted. I mean, it's a cliche thing, but how often do you stop and think like, look at the blessings you have? How often do you stop and look at the family you have? The healthy kids, a healthy spouse, healthy parents, good friends, and good job, and say, I'm at a good place. But no, what happens is someone has 99 good things. They have health, they have family, they have their family's healthy, they make good money, they pay their bills, they have a nice house, they have nice car, they have working limbs, and then they get one bad load, and then their whole day is ruined. Or they whatever a dispatcher or our side equivalents of that is. Um, we got to reflect on these things, not take them for granted, because the moment we lose any of these things, we realize how good life was. And we've all found ourselves in that. I mean, this is the human struggle, to remain, to not lose the perspective, right? To go through life with the correct perspective is part of that human struggle. um, but yeah,
Mm.
man, that's it. We'll conclude there. I don't know if this was set up wrongly today, or what happened, but
Yeah, I don't see anyone joining. Might be set up incorrectly, but we'll send this to drivers
yeah,
uh, as a recording, so hopefully you guys will check it.
cool. All right, man. Any closing words? Or we done here?
I think we're done here. Actually, hey, let me just say one more thing. Before the meeting, I wanted to get logistics jokes or something like that, a couple of those. And
Mm-hmm.
then I found a page where it says 100 jokes from logistics or whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
I went in, I was so disappointed in American humor, because I know for a fact that when it comes to stand-up comedy, Americans are amazing. Everyone is watching their stand-up comedy. It's amazing. I mean, when you start Dave Chappelle, um, Joe Rogan, all those guys that are so amazing in what they do. And then there are like jokes, simple jokes. In Bosnia, our jokes are million times better and more intelligent. I'm not saying anything, of course, but more intelligent in every way. And I couldn't get a single one that I liked, and I didn't take any of those. I just didn't want to. I went through 100 jokes. Every one of those was stupid. Really, that's what I wanted to say
Man,
before
you
the
you you
close.
you insulted my country, man. You insulted my people.
Sorry about that. I did say that the stand-up comedy is genius level, and nobody is even close in the world. Maybe British as well. They have a good stand-up comedy, but US number one. Like, and then five empty spaces. So not everything
You
is
know
that.
what? I noticed that a lot of them are yeah, they're those one-liners. I mean, they're those like dad jokes.
Yeah,
And a lot of times it's jokes at the driver's expense, which we don't want to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but we are going to either hire a really funny Bosnian person who can write some jokes, or we're going to find some good trucker jokes, good
Let's go.
memes, good fun facts to share, to make this more interesting overall. We'll conclude there. Hope everyone stays safe today. Salam alaikum. We'll stay in touch, Mr. Munir.